You've scrolled past them 1,000 times. Those satisfying instant karma compilations. Someone cuts another driver off in traffic, and 30 seconds later they're pulled over by police. A rude customer gets what's coming. Justice served, perfectly timed. It feels good to watch. There's a primal satisfaction in seeing consequences arrive instantly, packaged in a 30-second clip. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That's not karma. That's just coincidence dressed up as cosmic justice. Real karma doesn't work like a highlight reel you can scroll past. Because if karma were instant, the world would look very different. Corrupt people wouldn't accumulate power and wealth. Good people wouldn't suffer loss and pain. But they do. Every single day. So either karma is broken, or we've fundamentally misunderstood it. Here's what most people miss. Karma is real. But it operates on a timescale and logic that makes the instant version look childish. Like mistaking a weather app for actual climate science, the Danish philosopher Martinus spent decades mapping how karma actually functions. And what he discovered was radical. Karma isn't a punishment mechanism. It's not cosmic revenge. It's an educational system built into the fabric of existence. Every action you take becomes a lesson you will eventually learn. Think of it like this. You plant a seed today, but the harvest comes in a different season. Sometimes a different lifetime. The seed doesn't vanish because you can't see it growing underground. The circle completes. The mirror reflects. Just not on your schedule. By the end of this video, you'll understand the real mechanism behind karma. Not as mysticism, but as a natural law, as reliable as gravity. And that understanding changes everything about how you see cause and effect. When most people think of karma today, they picture a cosmic scoreboard. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and moments later, they spill coffee on themselves. That's karma, we say, as if the universe handed down instant justice. But this version of karma, the one we all know, is actually a modern invention, and it's fundamentally broken. Karma entered Western pop culture in the 1960s, stripped clean of its original context. That context was reincarnation, the idea that consciousness continues across multiple lifetimes. Without that framework, karma becomes just a feel-good phrase, a vibe, wishful thinking that bad people eventually get what's coming to them. To think about it. If you only live once, what determines who's born into privilege and who's born into suffering? Random chance. A cruel God. The instant karma explanation falls apart the moment you zoom out. It only makes sense when you see it as part of a longer story. One that spans more than this single lifetime. The real mechanism behind karma isn't mystical. It's cause and effect, applied to consciousness across lifetimes. Every action creates energy. That energy doesn't vanish. It travels in a circle, and eventually, it returns to its source. Not as punishment or reward, but as education. As experience you need to understand what you've created. Martinus described it with scientific precision. Every cause can only produce its own specific effect. Salt always acts as salt. It can't sometimes act as sugar. Sugar can't act as salt. Karma works the same way. Loving action returns as loving experience. Harmful action returns as harmful experience. No exceptions. This isn't theology. It's a natural law, as impersonal and reliable as gravity. All movement, all energy, all manifestation exists as cause and effect. Once you see karma this way, the question isn't whether it's real. The question is, how exactly does this mirror work? How does the energy find its way back? So if karma operates with such precision, we need to understand the exact mechanism. How does an action in this lifetime create an effect in the next? What's the process that makes the energy circle back to its source? That's what we're about to explore, the machinery behind the mirror. Martinus called karma a mirror principle. It's not a metaphor. It's a description of how consciousness and energy actually work. Every action you take creates a specific pattern of energy, and that pattern moves through reality in a very particular way. Here's what makes karma inevitable. Energy doesn't travel in straight lines, it moves in circles. Martinus observed that just as a planet's orbit returns to its starting point, every action, every manifestation from a living being travels in an arc and unavoidably returns to its origin. Your origin. The action completes a circuit. Think of every action as a boomerang. You throw it out into the world. It arcs through time and space, influenced by countless factors, but the fundamental physics of the throw guarantee it's coming back. You can't throw a boomerang that doesn't return. That's not how boomerangs work. That's not how karma works. And here's the crucial part. The mirror is exact. If you cause suffering in someone else's life, you will experience that same quality of suffering in yours. If you create joy, you experience joy. The mirror doesn't approximate. It reproduces your action in your own fate with absolute precision. This is why Martinus called it a mirror principle. What you do to others is what gets reflected back to you. The Bible says, "As you sow, so shall you reap." Martinus identified this as fundamental fact number 11 of the mystery of life. Not a moral guideline, a law of nature. What you sow, you will harvest. Not metaphorically, literally. But here's where most people get confused. You plant a seed today, you don't harvest tomorrow. The seed needs time to grow, time to mature, time to bear fruit. The same is true for karma. The action and its return are connected by law, but they're separated by time. Sometimes a lot of time. Which brings us to the question that makes people doubt karma exists at all. Why does it take so long? Why does the mirror sometimes wait decades, or even lifetimes, to reflect back what we've given? The answer is simple but radical, because you can't learn a lesson you're not ready to understand. The purpose isn't punishment, it's education. Think about it this way. You can't truly understand suffering you've never experienced. You can imagine it, you can sympathize with it, but you can't feel it in your bones. The mirror forces you into the other perspective, not to hurt you, but to complete your understanding. You inflicted pain while you were strong. Now you experience that same pain while you're vulnerable. That's the mirror at work, and this takes time. Lifetimes even. Because the energy circle needs to complete its full arc. The action you set in motion travels outward through the world, affects other beings, creates ripples, and then it curves back. That curve can span decades or centuries. The law doesn't hurry. It waits until the conditions are right for you to receive the lesson. But here's the crucial part. This process isn't just balancing a ledger. It's refining your capacity to feel. As Martinus explained, pain and suffering particularly develop and refine the feeling ability. Each experience of suffering expands your empathy. The more you've suffered, the more deeply you can love. The mirror doesn't just show you what you did, it transforms who you are. This is why justice appears absent in a single lifetime. The person who caused harm dies peacefully. The innocent suffer without relief. It looks broken, until you zoom out. The ledger doesn't balance in one life. It balances across many. And the goal isn't revenge. It's growth. Once you see this, the whole picture shifts. So what changes when you see karma as a mirror instead of a judge? Everything. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That single shift transforms suffering from random cruelty into a curriculum. You become the master of your own destiny. Not because you control outcomes, but because you control causes. As Martinus described it, you are the deepest source, the first origin of everything that unfolds in your life. Every moment is both harvest and planting. You're reaping the harvest from seeds you sowed in the past, while simultaneously planting new seeds for the future. Right now, this instant, you are both consequence and cause, both student and creator. Suffering stops being random when you see it as the return path of energy you once sent out. The pain isn't punishment. It's the completing of a circuit. Energy returning to its source so you can finally understand what it felt like on the receiving end. This doesn't mean blaming victims. Most of our karma comes from lifetimes we don't consciously remember. But it does restore meaning to suffering. It transforms what looks like arbitrary cruelty into a process with purpose, not justification, but education. As Martinus put it, by virtue of this law, every being becomes the sole origin of its own destiny. You cannot, in the literal sense, avoid reaping what you sow. The question shifts. Instead of why is this happening to me, you ask what is this teaching me about what I once did to others. That question opens the door to wisdom, to growth, to compassion for everyone caught in the same mirror. Once you understand karma as a mirror, and not a judge, you stop fighting your reality. You start learning from it. You start growing from it. And that shift changes everything.